segments about me on his show. He's been begging for my attention for years. He is one of my
All right, so if you guys don't know that this is Matt Walsh talking about Sam Seder, I'm going to go ahead and let him take it away. Sam Seder was on, after I said that right, was on a debate on Jubilee. I want to see if Matt really covers this section of the debate appropriately the way he should. Now, with that said, I will let him take it away, but please, guys, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and the notification bell. I am begging. And thank you to every eye that lands on these videos. Let's go.
Biggest fans. And now that I've mentioned his name twice in a week, Sam is no doubt on cloud nine. And that's fine. You know, I'm glad that I can make the little guy feel good about himself. But in any event, Sam Seder recently did that thing where he sits in the middle of a crowd and faces off against more than a dozen people who disagree with him in rapid succession. It's a series you've probably seen called Surrounded. It's a kind of speed debate organized by Jubilee Media. And one after another in this debate, Sam's amateur opponents completely demolished him. And there's one moment in particular that I want to focus on, and it's getting a lot of attention online. Here it is.
What's the problem with xenophobic nationalism? Don't you think that's better for Americans in general?
Like xenophobic nationalism is better?
We should have a coherent culture. Everyone should be a part of the same culture. We should have assimilation.
Which, do you get to choose what the culture is?
We already have a dominant culture.
What is
based
the dominant
on European
culture?
and Christian values and identity. That is the dominant culture.
White Christian,
it's rooted in European identity.
White, so your argument is that
has been the dominant culture.
Just to be clear.
And we're not letting people assimilate to that. We're saying you should keep your culture, and this is why our culture is so divided.
Your argument is that Trump is good for those who want a dominant white European culture.
I mean, that is what America is. It's rooted in European identity and Christian values. That's what it has been. Would you really disagree with that? What is it then if that's not the identity of America?
Well, I think the identity of America...
For the majority of time, America's been a country. You don't think that's been the identity?
Well, actually, no. I think actually the identity of America has been, you know, for better or for worse, a melting pot.
Before I play the rest of the conversation, notice what's already happened here. The woman, who, by the way, is named Sarah Stock, presents a clearly defined view of American identity. She handles herself very well during the whole exchange and deserves a lot of credit for it.
Yeah, we know that you would have never said half. I mean, not in that order. But anyway, Sarah Stock, I actually just covered her yesterday. I was shocked at her performance on the Piers Morgan show. So this is somebody who's going to be boosted, I'm sure. Shout out to her. I hope that she keeps her values, because you got to be careful. You know what I mean? What happens is somebody can be very organic in their thinking, and they are. And it's very hard to keep that, because you get a lot of people who want to come boost you up and make it very easy for you to get to the top. But maybe you start scaling down on, you know, some of the things that you're saying, okay? We don't want that, right? I want her to be unapologetically herself. But let's go ahead and go back into Matt and see, you know, what he's going to say.
Sarah says that America is rooted in Christianity and European values, which is obviously true. But even if you disagree with that for some reason, you'd be wrong. But even if you do, at least she's presenting some sort of definition of what it means to be American. She's offering an affirmative explanation of American culture. On the other hand, Sam cannot provide a definition at all. Instead, he offers a cliche. He says America is a melting pot without explaining what that means exactly. He simply implies that we've always been a melting pot. And then for good measure, he says that the woman is advocating for a dominant white culture, which is how Sam presumably wins all of his arguments with his leftist friends, because anything white is automatically bad and bigoted and evil. So he could just say, oh, well, so you're advocating for something white? And with his friends in his world, that's enough. That's the end of the conversation. But he's in a world here with people where that's not the end of the conversation. Because in this context, where the word white doesn't inspire terror in everybody in the room, the tactic does not work. And so we're left with the substance of what he's saying, which falls completely flat. The main problem with Sam's argument, of course, is that America has not always been a melting pot, as that term is generally understood. This country was composed of white, Western European Christians almost exclusively in its first years. This is the core of America. Those are the people who formed this country. And then afterwards, white, Western European Christians were still the dominant demographic for much of our history. To the extent that there was a melting pot in the United States, it was among different kinds of European Christians, like continental Protestants versus Irish or Italian Catholics. That was the melting pot.
All right. let us not act like black people weren't here too, okay? Like, but I know that's not the argument for Matt to make, but it's like, let us not act like that. Believe me, I am very radical in my thinking when it comes to this particular topic. Just today, I was called the mouthpiece for white supremacy, okay? You know what I mean? So, but let us, you know what I mean? Like, but yes, the white European race had been the dominant culture. And for reasons, they let that go. And I'll get to that. I'm going to give you the full recap, and I'm going to get to that. I just kind of want to get to her part, and then, you know.
Now, as the conversation goes on, the woman presses Sam on this point, and again, he has no response to it. Watch.
Yeah, maybe since like the 1960s. Even then, like even we had this idea of a melting pot literally means assimilation too. It means melting. It means you're assimilating to the dominant culture. Is that not what melting means?
No, it doesn't
and
mean
now
you're
instead we're saying there's something
to
wrong
the
with
dominant
xenophobia.
Culture. No. I mean, look, I got to be honest with you. Like, you and I have a fundamental disagreement. We will never see eye to eye on this. It's a choice. And people, I think what you're expressing, though, is really what the Trump movement at its heart is about.
Not anymore.
And I think that's problematic.
I disagree. I don't think Trump's like anywhere close to being a Christian nationalist. That's ridiculous. Like Trump's basically a Democrat from like 15 years ago when it comes to social issues.
So you don't think that he's conservative enough for you?
Oh, definitely. Nowhere close. No.
He's not xenophobic enough for you?
No, he's trying to import a bunch of H-1Bs. Are you kidding?
Right. Oh, so you want to get them out too? Yeah. No, I mean, I think you're making my argument for me.
Before we get to Matt, because Matt's not going to say the thing that I know he should say. This used to confuse the crap out of me. Okay. You look at Sam Seder. You're like, this is a white guy. Why does he hate himself so much? Right? I'm going to have the tough conversation. I'm going to preface it, but it's so annoying. Not all. Okay? Not all Jews. You happy? All right. Then I found out that 9 times out of 10, when you hear somebody talking like this, they're actually Jewish. And Ben Shapiro himself says that they fall into the subset of white when it's convenient for them. Like, this is what Ben Shapiro said. I didn't say it. He said it. And then it made sense. Because I was like, I don't understand why white people keep talking about themselves. Like, it was driving me nuts for the longest time. And then you get that last link, and it's like, oh, okay. That's what's going on, right? And then the guilt is given to white people to say, I don't want to be too white because it might be offensive, okay? Let's see a little bit if Matt handles this appropriately, just a little bit more, and then I'll give you the full wrap-up.
Enough for you?
Oh, definitely. Nowhere close. No.
He's not xenophobic enough for you?
No, he's trying to import a bunch of H-1Bs. Are you kidding?
Right. Oh, so you want to get them out too? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think you're making my argument for me.
You know, we hear about this idea of a melting pot, and there's some disagreement over the precise meaning of the term melting pot. In the clip we just played, the woman, Sarah, debating Sam, says that the term melting pot implies...
I'm going to skip this part about the melt. Let's just skip ahead because I don't have the 16 minutes.
Melting into what? And for what purpose?
Okay. You're not doing it.
Like, that's the question, Sam. Great. Why? What are they doing? What is the context? That's the question that Sam cannot answer. He's debating national identity, but he has absolutely no conception of what our identity actually is. That's why when Sarah asks him,
sorry guys,
cry about it. And that's why in response to my posts on this subject, in which I simply asked him to define American identity, Seder posted this inane message on X. He said, quote, I'm impressed how aggressively these guys from Daily Wire are owning white nationalism and theocracy. So that's he called it, white nationalism. That's scary. Don't you get it, Sam? We don't care. You can label it all you want. Oh, that's white nationalism. That's theocracy. That's Nazism, whatever. It doesn't matter to us. Don't you see that? Your labels don't mean anything to us. They mean nothing, not a single thing. See, the emotional blackmail only works if we give a damn what you think of us, and we don't
at all. Not
He's talking to Ben Shapiro right now. Listen, let me see, because there's this part right here where it kind of gets like religious, although the candidate for the discussion was a little. I just want to see if Matt hits something. I'm sorry, guys. We're doing this on a fly together.
Due to its logical tail end, to its extreme view, you have low reproductive birth rates.
Hold on.
We have laws that we have decided.
With that.
No, I would be against it, but I mean, it would be
morally right under your
not
view.
morally right. No. I'm not talking about morals.
Okay,
here.
so here's where I'm getting to, right? Religious foundations provide an ethical framework for one to live their life off.
I believe you can have an ethical framework without religion.
And if we take
But he's Jewish. And he says it. He does say it. He does say, like, I am Jewish or whatever, you know. So, you know, like, these two religions are opposed to each other. And a lot of people will act like they're not. They're supposed to be. I mean, look, I'm not here to say that people need to get hurt, you know, or anything like that. I feel like I hate making these disclaimers. But this is also a topic that's very dear to me, because this notion of, like, that we can't say, I'm a Christian. I'll tell you that Jewish values are not Christian values. That's a fact. I'm not Jewish. I'm a Christian. I just want to see if Matt does it right.
Only available tactic is being pressed on the foundations for his belief system. If it's not religion, then what is it? If it's the will of the people, then how can you object to a popular law that offends trans folks, quote unquote? How can you say that slavery or Jim Crow were ever wrong? They were the will of the people at one point. And then when he realizes he doesn't have any grounds for rational objection, Sam asks the guy whether he has a problem with gay people. So he resorts again to trying to shame the person asking the question. He's hoping that you won't notice that his own belief system is completely contingent on you know, these precarious, you know, expedient factors. There's no deeper foundation whatsoever.
Matt eats around the edges of a lot of things. So let me just finish off this and say this. And I'll tell you, this is a first-generation American. My father came to this country in the 60s, right? And I speak Creole. I know my Haitian heritage, but I know my American one first. And a lot of people don't understand that. They'll be like, oh my gosh, the forefathers aren't your fathers. That's fine, because I don't need them to be, okay? But when she said assimilate, yeah, my father didn't have us out here looking crazy. Like, we were not, like we weren't going to be out here, you know, just like, you know, out here just acting a crazy fool, like a bunch of bumpkin Haitian, bush people Haitians. Sorry, I'm keeping it real. You know, he wanted us to learn about American history. There's a lot of Haitian history that I don't know. He assimilated. Now, a lot of people say, oh, you're a tether and all of this other stuff. That's why I get into this conversation. It becomes like, you know, I don't care. I'll talk about whatever. But at the end of the day, yeah, my father understood that the dominant culture here was European white culture, and he didn't try to act like it wasn't. Assimilating, it wasn't really that hard when you think about assimilating, because my family is like got that French background, so it's like there's a lot of like easy type of like, you know, there's just a certain mannerism that we just kept. I never really thought about all this stuff. To say like white culture was a problem was weird to me, because I'm like, well, this is America. There's a bunch of white people here. Like, I don't understand what the problem is. This is not really a black thought, too. Matt isn't gonna, it's not. It is now, but it wasn't always. Matt doesn't go all the way into things, and I understand why, you know, got to keep the checks coming in. I'll see you guys at the next one. Bye.